Hey, Ian Robertson here from Full View Home Inspector Marketing. Today we're going to talk about the question, should you have a picture of yourself on your website? At any time, if you have any questions, call me at the number at the top of the screen here, or you can send me a direct email. Either me or my team are happy to talk to you at any time. But this question of, should I put a picture of myself, or for a multi-inspector firm, a picture of our team on the website, is asked a lot. Interestingly, most studies show that there is an increase in conversions when you put a picture of a face on a website, even if it's not the face of the person, just a random face. As a matter of fact, if you go to most corporate websites of large companies, at some point on the page you'll see a picture of a random person's face. That's because it increases conversions. The average estimate is about a 50% conversion hike, which is huge. But there are estimates that up to 102 to even higher, almost 200% increase in conversions happens when you have a human face for someone to look at. I'm not going to pretend to be a psychologist, but there's a lot of psychological reasons that happens. We can associate the brand, what we're looking at, with a person. They're smiling, they're happy, or they're doing something that we can relate to, and it causes a conversion. So the short answer is yes, you should have a picture of yourself on your website, but with a couple of caveats. And I'm going to show you a couple of quick examples and keep this video short. First caveat, we have to have a lot of self-awareness. If we look like a serial killer, if we look too young, if we look too old, if we look like we can't fit into a crawl space, those are things that we need to be self-aware about. So I own 3 inspection companies, and I've done pretty well over the years, but I had to avoid using myself in my own marketing because, I'm in my 40s and I still don't look that old. When I started in my early 20s, I looked like I was 12, and people would ask me if my father was coming. So, in those cases, not a great idea to use your own likeness. That doesn't mean we can't use a face, though. Can we use, I hate to say it, but a stock image? Can we put a picture of a happy family? Even that, while not as good as having a picture of ourselves on the website, even that helps. But now that doesn't mean that if we don't have a picture of ourselves on our website and we use a image of a house or something like that, that is necessarily bad. And I think that's where people try to draw a hard line. Like, don't use a picture of a house on your website. I think that's ridiculous because when I go in the website world, we call it convention. When I go to a bakery website, I want to see pictures of bread. When I go to a picture of a mechanic, when I go to a website of a mechanic, I want to see a picture of a car or an engine. It's what we expect. It's what our users expect. So statistically speaking, we've built thousands of web pages for home inspectors all across the US and Canada. Statistically speaking, it still helps. So I'm going to show you a couple of examples. Here's a good example of a website that uses the picture of the inspector. So he's the quintessential looking home inspector. I actually know this guy personally, great inspector. But as you scroll down his website, we intersperse him through here, and most people aren't going to read the text thoroughly, or sometimes even at all, but they're going to notice his brand and him. And as you scroll down, you see pictures of him happy doing his job and basically just incorporating him into every part of his website. This website sells. Now, something else we can do. Here's another website of another client of ours. In this guy's area, this first of all is a great picture. He's not looking directly at the camera, and he's focusing on his job. That's another great way of doing basically what this guy did at the top, except he's crossing his arms looking at us. These are 2 poses that you should really think about adding to your website. Now, these 2 inspectors chose to have, or during the design process, they gave us pictures that worked well in what we call the hero section, which is this section, the first section below the menu. We call it the hero section for a lot of reasons, but mostly because this does 90% of the work of your website. This sells. If you look at the stats of a website like this, they're always going to perform better than almost any other website. But now, when you add pictures of yourself to your website, you can also add a bit of your personality that ties in with your market. So for instance, this guy's in a part of the country where being outside and doing stuff like running is what everybody in his area does. They're either hiking, running, or doing something outdoorsy. So while this picture may not work in my area, although it's an outdoorsy area, in his area, this works really well. You can see stats of people that this would appeal to. It humanizes him. Then there's also websites that perform really well that don't have a picture of the home inspector in the hero section. Here's one of our best performing websites when we talk about per capita, how people interact with the website. Guys in Maine, a nice, typically we don't always like video hero sections, but this one just works really, really well. Something we put together for him, and it just engenders his brand and hard work. But what he does do is farther down the page, he adds a picture of himself. So it's a family picture, so a little bit different than the other two. This shows that he is a family-owned business. He's part of the community. So it does the same thing, but in a different way. So when a consumer looks at this picture, they say, hey, this guy's part of the community. I can kind of trust him. Most of this is happening subliminally. But now, maybe we don't want to do these two options. The two options we went over so far is picture of us in the header and pictures of us throughout the website. This one is not a picture of ourselves in the hero section, but farther down on the page we do have a picture of ourselves, or maybe even on the About Us page. Both of those are still acceptable. Both of them have high conversion rates. That doesn't mean not having a picture of ourselves on our website is going to quote-unquote kill our conversions. Going back to that bread illustration, people expect to see a picture of a house. Here's a couple of examples. First of all, this guy has a side menu, completely different kind of style design, but this is a high converting website because it's clear, simple, you know what he does, and it's easy to follow. People don't go on here and say, is this an engineer? Is this a bakery? Is this something else? They know, oh, okay, Dobbins Home Inspections, and here's all his information, where he serves. Scroll down, clear CTAs, which are calls to action, which you either want them to call or schedule online, and a lot of different things like their service area and all their services. Another thing is to go strictly with branding. This one is a good example of that. So this guy came to us with this logo, so we adapted that into his website. Now, if you know his area, this brand builds in really, really well. And we tie it in throughout the website. We do incorporate pictures of houses because you don't want it all to be on brand. So there, in our world of home inspections, there are really kind of 4 different routes, in our opinion, that you can go to. Again, one, picture of yourself in your header and throughout the website. Not a picture of yourself in the hero section, but instead a picture of a house or something of the like, or maybe a picture of a home inspector that we got online with a mask on so that people don't think it's us, whatever. But having a picture of ourselves like the Blue Lobster website somewhere on the website, but just not in the hero section. Then the third option is to utilize pictures of houses throughout the website. And that way it keeps people thinking, okay, this is a home inspector, and subconsciously driving that point home. Then the fourth one, go completely on brand. So like this Boston Woods website, go completely on brand if that's what our logo calls for. And that's what this logo calls for. The fourth option is probably the rarest. The third option is probably the most common because, as home inspectors, we don't like to sit in front of a camera and have people take pictures of us most of the time. One thing I will say is if we are going to take pictures of ourselves and put them on the website, make sure it doesn't look like a vanity website. Oftentimes, guys that like to have pictures of themselves on their website go a little bit too far with it. They send 30 pictures over. They want pictures of themselves everywhere on the website. And sometimes they're not even great photos, like maybe it's a picture of ourselves at a wedding in a tuxedo. People don't want to see that when they go to the home inspection website. They want to see, a picture of you inspecting, doing your job. So, To review really quick, should you have a picture of yourself on your website rather? The answer in short is yes, unless you look like a serial killer or you're going to fall off the roof. If you can do it, that is the best option. It is the highest converting. If you can't do it or you choose not to, that doesn't mean your conversions are killed as long as you do it the right way. Again, Ian Robertson here from Full View Home Inspector Marketing. Give us a call, 518-878-4845, or email us at ian@fullviewdigital.com.